waiting to hear your voice.
Hello, can you hear me?
Here we go. That's it. There's that voice. How are you?
Hi, I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing okay. It's really great to have you back. And, I've noticed your YouTube channel. I don't even know. Maybe you had started it last time we talked, but it's growing like a mushroom. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's like a good kind of fungus, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So have you used Zoom before?
I have, yes.
Okay. So why don't you share your screen? And we
Um,
could talk about things. And what I love about your work is that it's completely you. A lot of the things that you say and your annotations on your charts are, you know, um, not just good work, but interesting. And you also make what you do pretty entertaining, Julia. Don't you think that's a pretty good combination of being compelling and entertaining at the same time?
you know what? Like, it makes me super happy. Actually, excuse me one second. It's noisy.
You have a lot of
Sorry,
fans here today.
I had the fan on because it's hot in my office without it because
Yeah,
of the computer.
okay. Yeah, I turned mine
Sorry
off
about
too.
that.
I guess
Okay.
there's a heat wave across the U.S. So,
Yeah.
how have you been handling this action? With COVID and this massive recovery. I think from what I saw on one of your videos, you were pretty bullish in Nasdaq for this move.
I was at the beginning. Yeah, I was bullish. I mean, I'm super lucky because I happened to catch the entire way down with TVIX. And then, well, I
Wow.
got out like maybe, I know.
Yeah.
I got out maybe 2 or 3, it turned around. But then I also am super lucky because I happened to catch the bottom. But about a month ago or so, I flipped from being uber bullish. I mean, people were pointing out Head and Shoulders. I'm like, that's not a Head and Shoulders. And I'd look at him like, it is, but it isn't. It's not.
Yeah.
Anyway, about a month ago, I flipped to being neutral with my bear antennas out
Yeah.
because it was, for me, in
It
order
was
for it
already
to,
crazy.
yeah, well, yeah, but also in order for it to have kept on going with momentum, I very bullishly actually wanted a pullback so that it would have some time to recharge before it got to all-time highs. Because I thought that in a situation like this, if it were to have continued, and it did, then it might. I mean, good for people who have held on. But my thesis is that the more it continues without having had a healthy pullback, the worse it is after. I don't want to say after it, but the worse it might be later on. The bigger the correction, in other words. And I think that's really scary for people. And I don't know about the market's ability if it does get a correction over. Like if the Nasdaq does correct over 10%, I do not know about its ability to flash back from that the way it has. So that's what my
Okay.
concern was.
Yeah. So going parabolic, I've noticed, and there are traders that could sit through these types of moves, but normally I think you either have to be naive about a continuation, and traders just are too skeptical because they've seen things, they have been wounded and they remember being wounded by things like this, or just so greedy that you just want more, you want more. So to be there for the completion of a parabolic move, I think is the exception, not the rule. So you're worried about this parabolic move. Are you taking into consideration this is a pretty big day at Jackson Hole with the Fed chairman's speech? I know you're a technician, but do you have any thoughts about uh, what the Fed is going to say today?
You know what? I was listening to Blake earlier, and I I very much respect people who listen and watch the news and stuff. But I gotta say, I mean, even if I had a copy of the speech, yes, studied it, and I tried to figure out whether or not it was bullish or bearish or dovish or whatever, dovish or hawkish. I got to tell you, I don't think I'd be able to do it. I think that
Yeah.
the hindsight of people who are picking apart words afterwards to justify price movement is astonishing. And I just personally think it's going to move however it's going to move, and there will be all sorts of backwards justification to
Right.
figure out why. That's just, and that's, I mean, what do I know? I don't know anything. I don't know. I mean, I'm like, Jackson Hole is where you ski. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything.
Do you kind of lean towards flattening out your book prior to red events like this Fed speech or a Fed meeting or the NFP, or do you just ignore that too?
I just ignore it all. I mean, I
Okay.
know what's happening, and I win stops, and I try to figure out. I really try to figure out if I were long, where I would stop out, if I were short, where I would stop out, and then I set orders ahead of time. So
Okay.
because wherever I would stop out is where I should buy or sell. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I do.
I have a superpower, and that is being able to pick the tops and bottoms based on when I would have tapped out. So
Okay, so then,
that's usually what I do.
all right. So what are you seeing here in gold? We've had this little pullback, a little rise in yields. It was a tremendous run, only eclipsed by Nasdaq.
Yeah.
Is your view that I see a 1723 number there? Is that Would that be your target for correction of this bull market, and you would back up the truck down there?
Yeah, I actually would if it got down there. But I mean, really, it's not doing anything. It's really, I mean, okay, yes, it is. Intraday, if you're scalping or, if you're just
Yeah.
scalping futures or something, that's great. But it's not doing anything. It's just flagging. And I think it's a long way from bearish. It just barely touched the 9 weekly. This is the weekly chart. It just barely touched the
Okay.
9 weekly this week. Like, I mean, and that's such an easy thing for traders, is just to catch this, anytime MA after a long time of not hitting it. It's just a really easy trade. But yeah, I'm not really watching gold that closely right now because it's boring and everybody's talking about it. And
Yeah.
I
Okay.
actually switched my precious metals over to silver, and
Yeah. There's
silver's a
more
little more
action there.
interesting.
But before
Yeah.
we move on, Julia, can you give me an idea of how you came up with these pink lines? In a way, it kind of looks like a Andrew's pitchfork with maybe an extra line.
Oh,
People ask me, Dale, how do you draw trend lines? And I say, with my imagination. So
yeah.
I'm interested, is this just, feel and things that you see that, aren't standard to come up with these trend lines?
Yeah, I will tell you. So I actually talked about this. Well, no, I will, because
All right.
I'm not holding anything back. I want people to be successful, and if people can adopt some or whatever I do and be successful, I'm happy. But I talked about this a little bit on my YouTube. I'll show you. So I went back. Let's see, my screen gets redrawn. I went back to this original, 2008 into 2008, this original bull run,
Yeah.
and I just sort of said, you know what, this looks like a good line. Like, I mean, of course it went parabolic, and
Right.
but then it bounced here, and then, I thought it back tested here. I thought this looks like a great line. And so anytime I look at a chart and I see a great line, my own personal opinion, or I don't know, the whatever I figured out was that if I see a good line, the algos see the same line, and the algos will respect the slope of that line. So then what I'll do is I'll take that line and I'll move it around the chart, and I'll tell, is this line generally respected at different,
So
yeah,
as
see that.
long as it's parallel to the good line you found, you move it around looking for other parallel
Yes,
channels with it.
right, exactly. So I find a good
That is
line.
creative. See, no, you don't learn that, and that's why I said that in the promo about you, is that you use creativity. There's nothing that I really think you would learn in a lot of books about technical analysis to implement a technique like that. So cool.
Oh,
Yeah, this
I
is a
didn't know that.
Cordovian
Wow.
technique. Well, probably there is someone, Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun, but
No.
I've done quite a few interviews, and this is a unique explanation for finding speed lines, trend lines, whatever you want to label them. So
Oh
pretty
my
cool,
gosh.
Julia. Yeah,
Well, thank you, Dale. It works for me. And then I think the magic, and try to find a few slopes that work. But the magic sauce is figuring out then if you have so many lines, which are important. And so, you know what I mean? Because like
yeah,
you could also make the argument that if you filled your screen with lines, wow, look how it goes from one to the other. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I
yeah.
try to I try not to take myself too seriously that way, but I also just try to figure out which ones are important. So
Okay.
I took that line and I went to the very
Yeah.
and
Support and low.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so I mean this trough in particular, and that's why I've marked it, but I don't know that gold would get back there. I do expect a pullback, but who knows? And mostly
Yeah.
because everybody's talking about it and it's boring me. So I feel like it's either going to go to the moon immediately or it's going to get a really nice pullback. And then I have to look and see how the gold bulls are at that time to see whether or not
Okay.
it'll get bought. Like because I,
Well,
I look for I look for sentiment also.
okay. So, what's really on your radar that's not boring you going into today's action?
Okay,
Anything?
so
Go ahead.
what's not boring me, I don't mean, gosh, I'm not meaning to be negative. It's not boring. It's
It's
just,
just
it's
you
not
don't see
good now.
anything to do. I mean, maybe that's what you're trying to say. It's a
Yeah,
no trade. So if it's a no trade or it's an I don't know, uh, why pay attention to it until you do?
right. And you know
Okay.
what? That's only true also because I'm looking at the weekly time frames here as I'm looking at these as a swing trader. If I had my 1 hour, my 4 hour charts up, I'd be like, what are you talking about, Cordova? You know what I mean? So,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, right? Because I remember last time we were talking about gold and we were talking about on the 4 hour time frame and we were
Right.
like and it wasn't yeah, we were just like and look at yeah. So I guess I
So
mean
is this
what
where
I'm
you
watching
start?
today,
Is this where you start at the weekly and then you drill down for entries and exits? The
yeah,
weekly and then drill down. How
yeah.
far do you
I mean
drill
I will
down?
I
15
go
minute?
down to 15 minute. Yeah, I go down to the 15 minute, but I usually trigger off of hourlies. So I
Okay.
mean yeah, and then I'll just look at the 15 minute to make myself either feel better or worse, and then still take the hourly. But I
Okay.
start at the weekly because I mean it's hard to not have any kind of drawdown, right? Like that's
Yeah.
difficult. I don't know, but yeah. So I look at the weeklies in order to figure out if I do have a drawdown, how confident am I that I'm trading with the trend or against the trend, just in case.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I look at the weeklies just to kind of know where I'm at, and then I drill down. But what I'm watching is so yesterday I had sort of just said, and I don't know this, but I'm watching the small caps RTY and IWM and to see whether or
Right.
not, and yesterday I had said basically these kinds of head and shoulders that have like an upward sloping neckline, they aren't my favorite. They're not really reliable, but I wanted RTY to close below this 157 area. And then I thought if it closes there, it might have a cascading effect. So, look at what it did. So it not only didn't close below there, that's that 157 area,
Right.
but now it's like zooming up. So I was just watching that yesterday. And so he must be saying something good for the market looking at that.
Yeah. Maybe that's going on right now. So I could ask our
Yeah.
attendees, is Paul speaking because we're getting a pop in equities? Um, well, your eyeball as far as what you're seeing, the relative weakness has been Russell. So,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens there. I mean, the S&Ps are so parabolic, and Nasdaq, an amazing move. Steve was going over it today. I mean, if you just forget COVID, we're still up 34%. And yeah, so silver might be popping on this too. I'm wondering what you're thinking about the dollar. You doing much in FX? It's been pretty dead there. I'm
Um,
wondering if you're a dollar bear or bull, or
yeah,
actually,
no, I don't watch it too. I mean, I watch other people watching it, but I don't
okay.
actually trade it. And I just, yeah,
Crude has
I
been
just
pretty boring, Julia. I mean, WTI's
super bored.
been, yeah, but maybe it's setting up for something. We finally made a new high for the move with all this exuberance, risk on, and normally crude goes with the market, and it hasn't. It's taken all of this optimism in risk for it to finally make a new recovery high this week. Any view on WTI? Maybe a
Um,
short setting up?
Um, well, on my YouTube channel, I said that if it got above 42.16, which is a sort of a weekly pivot I had, if it closed above that, which it did last week, it did barely. It closed like
Yeah,
42.30 something, I think. But
okay.
I said that was bullish, and so far this week that's been accurate. But yeah, I don't really have any.
How about
You know, I,
yields? Do you follow like notes and bonds? Because yields are part of the valuation formula. And last week or the week before, 10-year was at 50 bips, and it's kind of creeping up a little bit here. In fact, instead of me trying to guess what you're following, why don't you just tell me after the Russell? And I don't know if you have a position or not, but it is a weak sister. Maybe it's still a short. Um, Anything else that you're watching? Are you doing individual issues in the stock market or just the
well,
indices?
yeah, I also trade equities. I don't usually share them on Twitter because I don't want to pump things or dump things. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like,
okay,
but I do also trade. I
okay.
do also trade some stocks.
Who's
Yeah,
Eric?
Eric is Eric Trump,
Oh,
and yeah, no,
okay.
I did this thing because Eric went all in here. He
Oh,
tweeted that
yeah,
basically bet on America. I'm all in. And
yeah.
then what I was doing, and this is the hourly range of
Okay.
when he tweeted. I didn't know
How
exactly what time he
interesting.
tweeted, but I this
Yeah,
yellow area is the hourly range. And then a couple of days ago, I was like, you know what? I should do a measured Eric move because he was correct. And then he was
yeah,
not correct. And I wouldn't even tease him because everybody has wrong calls. Like that's just part
yeah,
of the game, right? Like who
yeah,
cares? Like if you're ballsy enough to make a call and not just say, like if this, then that. Like if you're
yeah.
ballsy enough to have an opinion and make a call, then whatever. But he deleted the tweet bottom.
Yeah,
Like,
I
yeah.
guess what the two most difficult things to say as a trader. I don't have trouble with it, but I was wrong, or I
Yeah.
don't know. People's egos will not let them say that. I was wrong. Say it 3 times. It's cathartic. I don't know.
I'm
People go, oh, if you say I don't know, that means I'm ignorant. I'm stupid. When it's really wisdom to know when you don't know, to force the issue and trade something when you don't have conviction about the trade.
yeah.
What
Yeah.
do you think?
Well, I agree with that. And I don't have a problem saying I don't know because so many times when I do know, I'll say it and then I'll like everyone else in the universe, I'll talk about how right I was. But I
Yeah,
also don't have a problem talking about how wrong I was. It is
yeah,
just though human nature to get reminded of how wrong you are much more from other people
right.
reminded of how right you were about things. Like, I mean, I really,
Oh,
I
you've noticed that.
literally, yeah, well, like I literally on 323, I said, you know what, it looks good for a bounce. I didn't know the bounce was going to be like some
Yeah,
crackhead on a pogo stick. I had
right.
no idea, but I just knew that it looked good for a bounce that day. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I often retweet myself on that because I was like, because I also told my friends not to buy this day. They were calling me and everybody's like, you're crazy, you're an idiot. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not. I'm smart. And, even if I'm wrong, I knew it was bearish
Do you
looking.
promise to get back to us when Eric tweets that he's now long on margin?
Yeah, right. Well, he
Huh?
did basically. So he did basically here.
Right. Okay.
So that's what I
Okay.
did. 2 days ago, I did the measured move from the bottom of the hourly that he tweeted for the top of the hourly that he tweeted. And then I just did that measured move from when he tweeted "Bring back to life." I did
Yeah.
the top of his channel and I did the bottom of his channel. We tested the bottom of the channel yesterday. See, I don't
Yeah.
publish this stuff because it's like freaking kooky, and I'm not like that kooky, a little bit, but not that much. But anyway, yeah. So I was trying to figure out where the tippity top would be if I measured move here. So I was like,
Right.
looks like it's about 35, 35.65 or so. I don't know. And there
Interesting.
happens to be a line there. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Who
So
knows? Only
yeah,
God
that's
knows. And we only know
exactly.
when we look back through our rearview mirror anyway. You could have there have been plenty of A tops, but zero the top. So,
Yeah.
and people don't realize, like even last week I traded the S&P successfully from the short side. And it was giving 20 handle breaks, 40 handle breaks. I thought that meant maybe we're getting a change in the nature of the market until it just started blowing out again later in the week on Friday. So for me, this is an IDK. I don't know. Anything you want to wrap it with, Julia? I mean, it's fun talking to you.
Thank you. It's fun talking to you too. No, I mean, I don't know. I actually, I'm mostly long commodities right now, as opposed to,
Okay,
yeah, as
interesting.
opposed to the
Grains?
market. No, I'm my investment portfolio is natural gas, silver, and coffee. And so that I
Okay.
flipped there a while back, and then I'm really lucky because two of the three went parabolic. So I'm giving myself some leeway when I have been, Dale, I have been trying to short the Nasdaq like a freak magician. Like, I have been trying so hard and it's not working out for me. I don't
Yeah,
mind telling you because
yeah,
it is. But I was
yeah,
giving myself some leeway, and I personally think that any kind of pullback probably won't have a technician going, well, it was the Fibonacci extension of the thing. I feel like any kind of pullback because of this parabolic move will either happen with, I just feel like it'll happen with absolutely no freaking warning. Nobody seems to be interested in hearing anything
yeah.
about stocks going down, and people are mean. And even bull, I don't understand if bulls are still in the market and they're making a lot of money. I don't understand why they're so angry if somebody says they're shorting it.
America's angry, Julia.
We're all angry,
Everyone,
Dale. Anyway,
everyone.
so that's
Yeah.
I want to wrap it by saying don't be angry, just be happy, and just focus on your own success, and then you'll be
Okay.
more successful
So
later on. Yeah.
how do you handle the isolation of COVID?
I have everything. I mean, as traders, weren't we isolated before? I feel
Yeah,
like I
we
was
were.
isolated
You're
before.
right. We had
Yeah,
training. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
All
So
right.
it hasn't been that hard. I mean, I'm like, I want to whine with everybody else. I want to be like, why can't I go listen to music? Why can't I,
Yeah.
I want to I want to go. I can still do these things, but my mom is older,
Yeah.
uh,
That's
not
a
in
tough
great health.
part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So,
And so yeah.
that's it's our humanity to be able to give someone a hug, a kiss, shake someone's hand. And that's what I'm having the most difficulty with because now every time I think about it, there's fear involved. And, to me, that's a rough part of COVID is um, the separation from people where we're, communicating virtually and from a distance and with masks on, especially since I had, 50 grand worth of dental work done with implants. And now I have to wear a mask. They can't, you know, my timing was off on that. So
Oh,
I could have used a mask a few years ago, and now I don't need one, but I have to wear one. So, you know, I encourage people to follow Julia. And one of the reasons is she's not afraid to say she's wrong. That trend line technique that she showed, you're going to learn some things that you won't find in a book from her. And
that's true.
and you know what? You're part of, and you're part of. You know, if I listen to you every day, you've got me to laugh a few times. So her philosophy, she's passing on to try and not be angry and try and, you know, just be happy. Today's all we have. And I really appreciate you coming on, my Trading Warrior sister, and hanging out with me on the end of the dog days of summer.
Thank you for having me, Dale. I really appreciate it. And let's all learn to smile with our eyes now, because that's the only thing you can.
Yeah.
Let's
All right.
smile. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe we could get back together after the election and sometime in November and see how things are shaping up. And I kind of agree with you that once we get the first break from this parabolic move, that it may not be a dip to buy, because
We'll have to see how deep it is. That's my thing. Like
okay.
if it's a smaller dip and then it goes back up, I will acquiesce. Wrong, 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 wrong. If it
Okay, and
was
I
a
like your
bigger
idea.
dip, then
Yeah, and I like your ideas about commodities. Take a look at the grain complex. I don't have any positions there, but it looks like they're really firming up. And you know what? You can't eat gold.
that's true.
All right.
That's true. Thank
Well,
you so much,
everyone.
Dale.
All right. Keith is saying thank you. Everyone's saying thank you. You could follow Julia at Cordova Trades on Twitter, and there'll be a link on her Twitter to go to her YouTube page and
Yeah,
um,
right here.
include her in your intelligence gathering.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you very much, Julia. I hope pips rain down on you for the rest of the year, and we'll get back together in the fall.
Thank you.
All righty. All right, that's a wrap for me and everyone. Good hunting, everyone. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. You won't be angry if you count your blessings, and everyone could find at least one thing to be thankful for. It's the antidote for depression. You can't be grateful and depressed simultaneously. I rest my case. See you, Forex Gal, and thanks again, Julia. Adios.